And I will turn it over to Andrew Paredes for an introduction.
Good afternoon to everybody. I will be quick because Anthea is correct. We have a packed agenda, but I do want to offer just an update and a quick congratulations to our newest board members, Nancy Jackson and Monique Terpstra, who were nominated, and their nominations were accepted by the Senate Committee on Local Government and Housing and referred to the Senate floor for approval. So that is fantastic. Congratulations to the two of you. And I look forward to immediately following this meeting, the same process for the renomination of our State Housing Board President, Anthea Martin. So with that, I will just offer my congratulations and turn it back to you so we can get on with our packed agenda.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Andrew. Let's go ahead and get started with the project application review stage. Since we do have multiple projects up for review, we have about 5 minutes per project, so I'd ask that the presentations be kept to about 2 to 3 minutes max. We're going to start with Raleigh, and presenting today is Pam Gibson.
Thank you, Anthea. For Raleigh, I'm pleased to present Laura Scheinbaum and Ian Swallow with Boulder Housing Partners.
Wonderful. Thanks, Pam. Afternoon, everyone. I'm Ian Swallow with Boulder Housing Partners. I'm the project manager on the Raleigh project, now known as Raleigh Flats. And I'm joined by Laura Scheinbaum, BHP's Director of Real Estate Development. Very excited to be here presenting this important project today. I think we're excited for it to move forward, and just want to first start by thanking Pam for all her support in getting our application reviewed and getting us on State Housing Board in a very timely manner. So just appreciate all that support as always. Raleigh is a project we're very excited about. It's 100 units of new construction in central Boulder. It's an infill location located very close to shopping, transit, open space, some regional and local trails. And we'll also have 10 units out of the 100 that will be supporting individuals and families who are either at risk or are experiencing homelessness. And those 10 units are supported by BHP vouchers. So the project is very shovel ready. This is our final piece of the financing pie. So all of our other sources are fully committed. We got really competitive tax credit pricing as well as a very competitive interest rate. So we're excited to move this project forward. We anticipate breaking ground in August of this year. And we are currently into the City of Boulder for our building permit review. So really in the final stages and the big push to get this through. So we were slightly disappointed to have recommended funding less than we asked, but of course we are happy to accept a lower award. I think we feel confident that the numbers will work and that the project is going to be on solid footing going forward. We do just have our only request would be, continuing to work closely with staff and their support in helping us get our loan documents in time for our closing in August, since we do have a very valuable rate lock that will expire then. But otherwise, we're thrilled to be able to move the project forward. And we'll keep it brief and happy to answer any questions you all may have.
Appreciate that, Ian, and also appreciate you answering all the questions that I had in your presentation. Are there any questions from the board? Okay, well, great project. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pamela. Next up is Fruita Muse. Fruita Muse, presented by Olivia Cook.
Yeah, hi, I'm excited to introduce Kim Pardo and her team to talk about Fruita Muse.
Thanks, Olivia. And thank you to the Housing Board, and a big thanks to Olivia and Andrew and the entire DOH staff. A little bit of background on IndieBuild. We were created in January of 2021 after 20 years of me being a tax credit investor. Shortly thereafter, we honed in on Fruita because of their dire need for affordable housing with only 24 units built in 1984. After analyzing the market and the desires of the community and its employers, the Fruita Muse was quickly on the design tables. Our goal for the Muse and for the Fruita community since the Muse inception has been to build mixed income, porch front, community-oriented, environmentally sustainable homes with dignity. to offer residents environmental justice via healthy living, including all-electric, high-energy efficient design, walkable tree-lined streets, bike-friendly amenities, access to recreation, safe routes to school, and community gardens. The Muse 51, 2, and 3-bedroom townhomes will serve families earning between 30 and 120% of the area median income, and the design is meant to encourage rural Colorado communities to embrace affordable housing that may haven't in the past. We will offer after-school STEM programming and recreational camps in the summers, home ownership classes, bike maintenance clinics, and master gardening workshops with our partners that include Eureka, Housing Resources of Western Colorado, a master gardener, and Over the Edge Bike Shop. In following with Fruita's mission to live, work, and play, I'll add a great quote I recently heard from a Canadian which captures our mission. And I quote, "Investing in affordable housing is not simply about putting money into concrete. It's about investing into the well-being of our people and our communities." Since January of 2021, it's been quite a journey trying to stay true to our mission. Since we submitted our tax credit application in February of 2022, the Fed funds rate has gone up 475 basis points from 0.05% to 4.8%. Construction costs have gone up on average 20% around the country. And as we've learned, they're even higher in rural markets. Our contractor bid out the project this past winter, and in late January, our budget came in $3.5 million over our previous budget, which was a 28% increase. Since then, we've been working tirelessly to close this gap. We have done considerable value engineering while maintaining the integrity of our vision. We are bringing in the newly formed Fruita Housing Authority as an SLP to likely abate real estate sales and use taxes. We are went back to CHFA, and we're going to request additional credits up to our cap of 2022 of 1.35 million. We've been working with CHFA, our permanent lender, replacing some simple funds with some housing opportunity funds in our capital stack. And we've also been able to increase our capital magnet grant funds a bit. We've been working with the state on a new energy efficiency grant program that we anticipate coming in during construction. And lastly, with the city of Fruita, we have asked for impact and tap fee reductions, waivers, or deferrals, whatever they're willing to provide. Additionally, we have asked for our internal roads to be dedicated, which saved on construction costs and will save on long-term maintenance costs. With regards to fee reductions, the city has asked that we come back to them when our numbers are more baked. I would just like to also add that it's not in our package, but they did waive an offsite road for us last year that we valued at $800,000. So we were extremely thankful. We understand that our ask of DOH is very high, and we are so appreciative of staff. Andrew and Olivia have worked tirelessly with Andrew Paredes, and we really just appreciate it so much, as we did with our OTK loan. Every time interest rates go up 25 basis points, I'm sure everybody feels this pain right now, but it's like $100,000 to the Fruita Muse. So we have put a lot of pressure on staff to help us get to a closing quickly so that we don't incur any more interest rate increases. And we're really trying to lock in our subs right now, so we're kind of in a time crunch. As staff knows, our expectation is that we'd be paying down the majority of all, or most, if not all, of our IndyBuild conduit loan by perm loan conversion. And lastly, I would just like to say, as we've learned, rural deals are really hard in Colorado, harder than I thought. Rents are lower, there's less soft money, and construction costs are higher due to lack of subs and access to construction materials. That said, the need is very high, which is why we were able to garner continued support by the city and the county's largest employers, the local community, and others in the Western Slope housing community. With that, I'll turn it over to questions.
Thanks for that presentation, Kim. Do you have any ties to IndyDwell?
No.
Okay, thank you.
You know, we thought about it at first, Anthea, and you know, honestly, there's, you know, prefab is super exciting to me, but it's just, it's not flexible and versatile enough yet, and there's no real cost savings. So it was something we looked at.
Glad you looked at it. Any questions from the board? Well, thank you, Kim. Appreciate the presentation.
Thank you, Anthea, and everybody participating. It says 67 others. Thank you all.
Thank you all, right? We'll leave it at that. Next up is the Chrisman Portfolio, SFR. Presenting today is Natalie Woke.
Thanks, Anthea. And I would like to hand it over to Russ Merrill from Crispin Development.
Hi, I'm Russ Merrill. Hopefully everyone can hear me. I represent Crispin Development. We're the sponsor and developer for Park Ridge Apartments. We really appreciate the opportunity to present a request for the additional gap funding and would like to thank Natalie for her assistance in the process. Park Ridge Apartments is an acquisition rehab project consisting of 4 USDA 515 properties. They're located in Estes Park, Lyman, and Brighton. With the additional funding, we are on schedule to close the project by the end of August. Since our original tax credit application, the project has experienced a 20% increase in construction costs, creating an additional $1.3 million gap in funding. Cost increases are fairly widespread, affecting lumber, siding, drywall, appliances, HVAC, electrical, and plumbing, all to various degrees. In addition to the increasing construction costs, interest rates have also gone up by about 225 to 250 basis points over our initial estimate. This has increased our interest carrying costs during construction by about $700,000. At the same time, our perm loan sizing has decreased by $640,000 due to the increased debt service associated with the higher interest rates. Crispin Development has worked with our development partners to try to mitigate the higher costs and interest rates. In conjunction with the project's general contractor, Belmont Construction, we were able to identify some savings through the use of their internal workforce rather than subcontracting the work. Overall, we were fairly limited in our ability to meaningfully reduce the construction costs. In a rehabilitation project, construction savings are generally achieved through a reduction in the scope of work. We discussed this option with CHAFA and concluded that the full scope of rehab proposed in our application was a material component to our award. CHAFA was able to assist with the offer for supplemental permanent financing through their capital magnet fund in the amount of $580,000 with a below market interest rate of 3%, which allowed us some additional leverage. We achieved cost savings of $1.17 million through a reduction in the acquisition price of the properties. Crispin Development has also agreed to increase the deferred developer fee by $250,000 to address the remaining gap in funding. We are truly grateful for the steps taken to accommodate the disruptions in the housing market. And thank you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them now.
Thank you, Russell. I have a question on the financing. So it looks like you're using the RD 538, which I'm very familiar with. I'm also an RD 538 lender. Can you tell me how far along in the process you are? Or my question really pertains to just making sure that you are ready to move forward to closing and that we're not going to have, another request in 4 or 5 months because construction costs likely won't stay the same.
We are fairly well along. We've submitted our transfer application with USDA, and it's currently in there. Hasn't gone to their underwriting department yet because we're not fully funded. We're going to have to redo our pro forma for them in light of the additional funding. But they do have all of the requirements on their side. So once we provide that updated financial pro forma to them, we should be able to move into underwriting. Regarding the 538, our applications have been submitted. Bonneville Capital is our financing partner with the 538s, and we have provided them also with their underwriting requirements. So I think once we finalize our application with USDA, we'll be able to move both of those in lockstep together. And we do anticipate still being able to close by the end of August.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to guess 3 to 4 months. That would make sense. Excellent. Thank you for that. Any questions from the board? Okay. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Next, we have the TAHGs, which can somebody tell me what TAHG means? I think it's the transformational affordable
Yep.
housing grants. Is that a good guess?
You got it. Yes, they
Awesome.
are the transformational affordable housing grants, funded primarily through House Bill 22-1304.
Okay. And do you call it tags?
We do, yes.
I knew there was a nifty name for this. All right. Thank you. So the tags are up next. Wapiti Commons, and presenting is Teresa McCoy.
Hi, thanks, Anthea. I'm happy to introduce Gail Schwartz with Habitat for Humanity of the Roaring Fork Valley to present on this project.
And Gail, we don't hear you if you're on mute. Do we see Gail on?
Oh, I'm here. I was just muted. My
Okay,
apologies.
great.
And then, technical challenges, of course, trying to present a short, just PowerPoint, if I may. And do I have the opportunity? Do you see that by any chance? That
We cannot see anything being presented.
so I just said to share that. So I do apologize for not being able to have that visual up, but if I could actually just move ahead with the presentation. This is Wapiti Commons project. It's a project with 20 homes in Rifle, Colorado. And I'm Gail Schwartz, president of Habitat for Humanity, Roaring Fork Valley. Also served 8 years in the Colorado State Senate. And it's a privilege to be here with the State Housing Board and appreciate all the help that we've received from the DOLA staff. We are very appreciative of that. Right now, as you probably are aware, Western Colorado is experiencing a very significant housing crisis, especially in our rural resort region. Habitat Roaring Fork Valley serves from Aspen to Parachute. And in that region, it has been more or less determined we have about a 5,000 unit shortfall to adequately house the employees of our region. And this shortfall has a tremendous social cost associated with it, not only for our businesses, our economy, but also the disruption to our families and especially our children. And now some surveys have demonstrated that 45% of public and private employers are now suffering from a lack of adequate employees. So then came COVID, and COVID has very significantly increased costs in our region. 40% increases in rents, and home prices have increased from 40 to 70%. Mortgage rates are up 100%, and then of course our wages have not kept pace. We Habitat has built 60 homes in our region, and we have about 100 more homes in our pipeline, but we're very proud of this project of 20 homes in Rifle. And those 20 homes are the homes that will be for both the workforce, and then we have set aside 8 of the homes for ADA, accessible and older adults. And they will certainly be available to workforce families as well. And we are very proud, and unfortunately I can't show you a very beautiful picture of the project, but it is a net zero project. All of the projects we're building are in fact net zero and will be completed in spring of 2024. And due to the increase in materials up to 40%, we are so grateful for being able to apply for support on being able to cover that gap. Right now, the building costs in our area are up to approximately over $300 a square foot, but we're committed to 80% AMI, and we actually provide that prices, and we back into those prices in our homes, that 80% AMI, so we sell at about $190 a square foot, and we're committed to that, to provide a net zero home in a community where people live and work. Some of the homeowners that are being served that are going to be in this new neighborhood work in the school district. They work in the city, in the county, in the mental health services. They work in our local banks, and we're really thrilled because Habitat builds homes in partnership with families. The project has been identified as an enterprise zone project because it contributes to workforce retention and recruitment and development. And I will just say that the City of Rifle has been an exceptional partner, and they have not only reduced their fees, but also they perceive this as being part of their infrastructure long-term going ahead, and have been partners in us as we are now creating what they are calling homes that will be for people that, again, are committed to living and working in their community long-term. So I'm very grateful that we will have the $1 million grant request before you. And we understand that it is short of our request, but we feel comfortable that we are going to be able to fill that gap because a large portion of that has been identified as contingency for the project. Can I provide any additional information?
Thank you, Gail. It looks like Nancy has a question.
I can figure out how to unmute. Thank you.
You and me both.
Thank you. Yeah, we do see the PowerPoint now, so thank you for your presentation. For some reason, as you were speaking, this question occurred to me, although it could equally apply to other presentations. I'm quite familiar with Habitat for Humanity, of course. I'm just wondering, since this is home ownership, which I think is terrific, how long do you build for? That is, what do you expect the life cycle or the lifetime of this housing to be? Will these last for 20 years, 50 years? What is your thinking when you put together a project?
Well, thank you very much. We build very high quality homes because that's what we feel our teachers and our essential workforce are entitled to. And we build homes that we anticipate will last the next 50 years. And again, being a net zero homes, our homeowners are not only have the affordability of affordable mortgages, purchase price, but they are also only paying in our latest project $14 a month for all their utilities except for water. So we actually have an HOA in our communities, and we put together a reserve study, and that reserve is funded every month through the HOA fees. And that is a really critical point that as we support our families as they become homeowners, because the vast majority of them have never owned a home, we also support them with being able to maintain the community and the neighborhoods and protect their investment long-term. So our intention is to build extremely high quality homes, beautiful homes that will be there as long as they're standing. So maybe 100 years from now, but that energy efficiency is again going to contribute to the long-term affordability. And these are permanent homes for the homeowners.
Thank you. That was really an inspiring presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
And congratulations on the net zero
Thank
piece.
you.
That's amazing. Did that allow you to tap into any additional funding?
Well, we have had a lot of support, and we will be working again with our energy providers. Before we worked with Holy Cross, this is going to work with Excel. There are certain incentives that are in fact in there that we can be, again, because of the net zero standards, to be able to receive. And we have received other support through foundations and contributions because of the energy efficiency. Also because we are putting aside homes for older adults. That has also helped with providing funds for our project. We will be able, now that the federal funding is not just for tax credits, but will in fact be reimbursements to nonprofits as well. So that is an exciting opportunity, taking our heat pumps and all of the energy efficient appliances and being able to get rebates on those, which again help reduce the cost of the construction.
Wonderful. Any other questions from the board? Well, thank you, Gail.
Thank you so much. It was great to not see you, but to be here with you today. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next up is Willoughby Corner 1B. And I do want to note we're 2 minutes behind schedule. So if you could just be mindful of the presentation time. And presenting today will be Pam Gibson.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to present Nari Boyd Nori Boyd, Molly Chang from Boulder County Housing Authority, and Erin O'Neill from SB Clark.
Thank you so much. I'm Nari Boyd. I'm the director for the Boulder County Housing Authority, and Molly Chang is our senior developer, and Erin is running our financial pro forma. So appreciate that, and just want to thank the Division of Housing and Pam, Andrew. This was an incredible amount of work. This is truly transformational because it's a 400 unit neighborhood that we're creating in the city of Lafayette. And appreciate the Division of Housing's funding for the first phase, which was senior, and is currently in contracting phase right now. And this is phase 1B, which is sort of separated from its senior twin, but is currently in the process of hopefully an award of funding from the State Housing Board. This will be our last funding source. We have heavily leveraged 13 sources of funding for phase 1B, which is similar to 1A. And the reason for that is we are creating a neighborhood scale development in Lafayette. And this is part of a partnership between the County of Boulder, Boulder County Housing Authority, and the City of Lafayette that started back in 2017 when the city identified this large parcel, partnered with the county to purchase the land, and then create this neighborhood scale development that includes senior housing, family, and the last phase will be for sale affordable. So 100% affordable, 400 units, and this is the second of 4 phases. What's unique about this too is it is because of that neighborhood scale, it had quite a bit of city infrastructure, public improvements, neighborhood parks and connections to trails. It also included what's unique, I think, is we're seeing water constrained communities. And so we purchased water for this property in the amount of $10 million for all 400 units, cost allocated appropriately. But we can see that the city of Lafayette's shortage of water is impacting affordable housing financing. On the positive side, though, we've been able to create a net zero community with some amazing public infrastructure, and the whole community has come together in funding support for this project, with a lot of other communities chipping in their private activity bond cap and grant funds at both the county and then city fee waivers. So we just appreciate the complexity and what we put the staff through, just really appreciating you guys and open to any questions that you might have.
Thank you. And I do want to note, this is the second project that has 13 sources. Amazing. I think that may be a record, maybe not, but
I'm ashamed of that record.
yeah, I mean, it just speaks to the complexity of these deals and the amount of work that's in them. So thank you. It's not an easy task.
That's true. Thanks.
Are there any questions from the board? Okay, well, thank you. Next up is Harmony Cottages, and presenting the team is Natalie. Is it Woke or Walk or?
It's Woke.
Woke. Okay,
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anthea. And I would like to introduce Kristen Candela of Fort Collins Habitat for Humanity.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much to Natalie and to the board. There is really an increasing need in Fort Collins that compels us to grow. In roughly the last 5 years, the median purchase price increased from $335,000, which about 60% of our community could afford. So a little over 5 years ago. Now it's $540,000, and that's down to 26% of our community that can afford to buy now. So access to home ownership cut in half in this very short amount of time. But these aren't data points, they are people. And so I just wanted to tell a couple quick short stories. Chris is not able to get into the housing market. He and most of his coworkers who are teachers are not. He said you can tell when a teacher came to Fort Collins by how far away they live and how they get to work. He said if it was 10 years ago, they bike to work. If it was 5 years ago, they drive across town. And if it was now, they drive in from Severance, which is about a 45-minute drive in. In contrast, through a partnership with Habitat for Humanity here, Natasha got in. She bought her Habitat home in February of 2020. She had moved 14 times in 8 years to find safe and stable housing. She had stable employment that entire time. So now she is in her home. She's saving a little bit for retirement, a little bit for her daughter's college, and homeownership is transformational. It is the way most Americans build wealth. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but you can see that launch pad for their future. So Fort Collins Habitat for Humanity serves home buyers earning 45 to 80% of median income. It truly is workforce housing. Our home buyers are teachers, they're retail workers, they're in service, they're in healthcare. The homes that we're buying, that our homeowners are buying, are going to be in a model that's a little bit like a land trust. So these are going to be permanently, restricted for 90 years, which to me is permanently. So it will be community infrastructure, each one of these homes. We are really, truly grateful for your consideration of support. The project is a little more than shovel ready. I have shovels actually on site right now. The project will provide 22 homes at the Harmony Cottages and 2 Peterbilts, which are actually modular homes that 80 to 100 students are building a year through geometry and construction. So having possible career paths in the trades and helping us with some of other cost structure here, alternative paths than college. The neighborhood is about, it will serve 48 families when it's finally completed. So we're halfway done. It really is the need that is compelling us to finish this development faster. And this is what this will accomplish for our home buyers in the community. Our goal is to keep our neighbors safe, secure, and to give them access to affordable home ownership, which is transformational. So thank you very much. I'm here for any questions.
Thank you, Kristen. Ryan, I see you have a question.
No, thanks, Anthea, and thank you, Kristen. Thanks, ma'am, for not only your rather expository breakdown here that's been captured by the State Housing Board full-time staff and your package, but thank you for also thank you for providing a level of context, if you will, from a qualitative perspective. I appreciate the way you framed it and said, hey, this is just more than data points. These are people, and so I really appreciate that. That resonated with me. So looking at the package and the write-up, it seems as if, as of now, the recommendation is to fund you or to fund you at a 40% rate based upon what your organization, Habitat for Humanity, is asking for. I think they're asking for about 1.8 million off the top of the head. So with that being said, ma'am, is there, in addition to everything that you laid down from the perspective that access to home ownership has been cut in half over the last couple of years, the nature of the good people that will actually be occupying this housing, you talked about just the geographic displacement based upon urban sprawl from a mutual causality perspective or second and third order perspective. And so is there anything else that you can say in order to, and this is also maybe pivoting back to Andrew and your staff, your team, is there a more that you can say to, maybe convince the full-time state housing folk there at DOLA to fund and resource you and your project to give you more than 40% of what you're asking for, given the fact that the occupants are let's just be honest, they're public servants and they're not compensated as well per se as what some other folks may be. And so I want to make sure that we're doing right by whether it's the teachers, the first responders, whatever, the service folks in our communities that are help teaching our kids and keeping us safe and things of that nature. So is there anything else that you can add? And then this will also be a pivot back to you, Andrew, and your staff to see if we can possibly resource them a little bit more than 40% of what they're asking for. Thank you.
I'm certainly happy to speak to our staff review and recommendation process and absolutely understand where you're coming from. We, as you know, have received 77 applications requesting $476 million for, roughly $138 million resource. So we are, faced with a very hard decision and a very hard job in terms of balancing priorities. And I feel like staff has worked very hard to analyze projects, to come up with a recommended level of funding that we feel can get, along with the applicants, can get a project across the finish line. So we absolutely want to provide these housing resources while also trying to balance the other 74 applications that also have a lot of merit. So, I don't have a great answer. I'm sure Kristen, would agree with you, as would any reasonable applicant. But from a staff perspective, we're really trying to balance and provide as many great housing opportunities for as many possible Coloradans as we can.
And if I could quickly piggyback on that, Andrew, because after the last couple of years, I'm in deference to what you and your staff has done and what you continue to do, understanding that resources are finite. So I know you good folks have got a tough job and you continue to do phenomenal work. And so that was not necessarily an indictment, but it was more, please forgive me, but I was kind of framing things from a perspective of advocacy, particularly for this one project here with Habitat for Humanity, with the folks that are on the receiving end of these resources and things like that. So it's not any kind of managerial way of impugning what you good folks do up there because I know you guys got your hands full and you've been doing phenomenal work since I've been fortunate enough to be privy to the things that you good folks do. And so from that perspective, let me flip the question around then, and this is to Ms. Candela. So ma'am, with the recommended 40% resourcing that the DOLA staff has come forth with, do you think that will be enough, or from an incremental perspective, how much more do you think you may need, understanding that their resources are finite? So I guess do you think 40% is a good way to get you over the finish line, or would you recommend, or say 50% or 60%, understanding that you've got a lot of competing interests for the same finite resources, if you will?
Such a hard question to answer, knowing the predicament that you're in and the scarcity of resources, and also knowing that this is a one-time funding source. I think what is challenging with having a lower amount of funding is that our goal is to speed up house production by an entire year and to attach it to 24 units. Not getting the full funding amount, getting 40%, would make it difficult to speed up by an entire year. We are not an organization that is eligible to receive tax credits, which I'm sure everyone here knows. We really are privately financed for the most part. And so it will mean additional fundraising, and it's kind of a campaign for every single home. And the piece that was not funded for us was the developer fee. And I think in some organizations that truly is profit. In Habitat for Humanity, though, it's actually part of the secret sauce of making our homeowners successful. It's the homeowner selection, it's the home buyer education, it's all the administrative support. It's the lending side of us being the home builder and the lender. So it is covering true costs. So I will always say we need what we need, but I think that this could slow us down a little bit. But we are super grateful to be funded at any level, truly.
I'm going to jump in here for just a second. I think this is a great topic that you're bringing up, Ryan, but I'd like to see if we can put it back on staff to see if there is an opportunity to provide more funding, if they feel like it's going to hurt the project moving forward, and really just to ask them to reconsider it. And we can also look when we go to vote, we can vote and approve what we have in place today, but just ask them to take a second look at it. That's how we've done it in the past. We're on a time crunch here, so I'm gonna.
No, thanks a lot. No, absolutely, Anthea. Out of deference to what you said. No, thanks a lot, and thank you, ma'am, for the additional context.
And I believe I saw a hand up. Was it from Andrew? Did you want to add anything, Andrew?
It was, but I can table it, and we can talk
okay.
about this as staff.
Great, I appreciate that.
Meeting.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you all. Great presentation. We are going to move forward here to the CPCH Living Wisdom Village. And Andrew, the floor is yours.
All right. Thanks, Anthea. So I think that Akia Tanara is, oh, there she is, online to present Living Wisdom Village from Crestone and Peak Community Housing. So take it away, Akia, and keep it tight. Thanks.
Will do. Thank you. So the Living Wisdom Village project began about 9 years ago as a community initiative. Residents wanted to find a way to retain the community elders, many of whom were having to leave the community to find housing they could afford on only Social Security income. A housing market study conducted in 2020 reported a demand for 151 additional affordable senior units in Saguache County. This need has continued to increase each year. CPCH has an interest list of 50 names. The list was closed in 2021 due to demand exceeding capacity, and we continue to receive additional requests for housing every month. Living Wisdom Village will provide 20 units of rental housing. 80% of the units will be available at 30 to 80% AMI. The project incorporates many support features which will allow seniors to age in place in the community that is their home. The project includes a community center, a garden, walking trails, and is built within 4 blocks of Crestone's commercial district. One of the most important goals in this project is to assure that seniors with low to very low income pay only 30% of their income for their housing expense. The only way to accomplish this goal is to construct the village with no long-term debt. Attaining housing at Living Wisdom Village will be transformational for its residents, increasing their financial equity, improving their mental health, and strengthening their social connections. Thank you. Okay. Open to questions.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Unfortunately, I have to ask about Indy Dwell. And if Andrew's shaking his head, he knew it was coming, right? We can just make it be something that staff follows up on, but since they are having cash flow issues, I think it's important that that's flagged and monitored, and perhaps a backup plan is set up.
So we actually will have a condition in the award. I think it was August 1st. They have to work out either a contract with Indy Dwell or, assuming they recommence production, or, work with a new contractor that can, construct the project for a similar cost. And Akia and I have talked about this. So
Okay.
she's aware, understands it.
Fantastic.
Very excited to work with Indy Dwell. Fingers crossed they can figure out their cash flow issues.
Fingers crossed. I love Indy Dwell. Love that they're here in Colorado. So fingers crossed. Any questions from the board? Mr. Garcia?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be brief. Quick question for the developer in Saguache County. I'm Rick Garcia. I'm the Executive Director of the Department of Local Affairs. Regarding alternatives to the modular units, what's your options, or what are you thinking about at this moment in order to stay within a time frame that's going to actually get your project completed?
We've already begun discussion with Alcon, who will be providing our community center and maintenance building. They can build a steel frame model that is very similar to what Indy Dwell was offering. We're also considering stick built from Alcon. And I've also been speaking with Eric at Fading West about whatever options they might be able to provide. So
Okay, that's good to know. Alcon, is that a local company, Colorado based?
yeah, they're down in Alamosa. They're a family-based business. I think they've been in operation for over 40 years down there.
All right, thank you very much.
You bet.
Great. Hearing no other questions, we'll move on. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Next up is Ordway East Duplex Development, and presenting the team is Fallon Miller.
Thanks, Anthea. So today we have Stephanie Gonzalez from CSED and Michael Yerman from My Role Planner to present. Michael, you're unmuted, but I don't hear.
I think Stephanie was going to start it off. Is she here?
She was on a minute ago.
Yep, there she is. Stephanie there?
She might be having mic issues herself.
Oh, all right. Well, I can just go ahead and present it then. This project is a combination of 16 local governments coming together to do a housing project in the southeastern corner of the state. This is the final phase of what was first 83 houses that were brought into the community. This is a unique region in the state. It's an inverted housing market. So actually the price for the materials and the labor that goes into a house won't appraise for a new house, even at price points at 165 to 175 a square foot, which was what we were able to deliver in phase one. Luckily, through the economies of scale and working collaboratively and ensuring that a house was built in all 6 counties and across 10 different communities, we were able to solve the appraisal crunch. And we are now closing and getting homeowners moved in to brand new housing at about 70 to 100% AMI price points. Unfortunately, though, because as we've seen in interest rates, the opportunity zone investor who was going to build these units is no longer able to invest in the region. And Crowley County is one of the leaders in renewable energy projects. They actually have $1 billion solar array with a B going in just north of this site. And it's really a chicken and an egg scenario for the region of renewable energy investments, which is a much desired and needed new economy, and having the housing for the workforce needed not just to construct, but then also to operate these facilities. So this project is strategically located. And I think the biggest piece of the puzzle here is that this project actually creates a foundation for which SECED can become an owner and operator and create staff to now operate rentals and do housing for the entire region, which is also a major component, as I'm sure everyone knows, to making one of these projects to actually work. So we were very excited. This is really the foundation to really exceeding and continuing our efforts in the Southeast. And I will say that both the town of Ordway and Crowley County are committed to sharing resources, SECED's project management, to allowing additional housing projects to continue to grow from this project and realizing there's economies of scale. The final piece I will just add is that the developer has committed on the parcel. There's 7 lots that we're also able to benefit from utilities that were extended to make this project a reality. The developer, we already have plans done and project costs set, and those houses are less than 100% AMI. So any of those houses on those 7 lots that could be pre-sold prior to us breaking ground, we will build, and we will the developer will personally finance and sell off to the buyers. So there is a potential that we could also get some home ownership out of this. While it's not directly part of our ask, it's also another big benefit to us being able to continue this economy of scale project in the region.
Great. Thank you, Michael. Any questions from the board? Mr. Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hey, Michael, it's Rick Garcia, Dole Executive Director. You mentioned in your presentation that some investor had dropped out. Was that the Opportunity Fund investor that had originally been part of the original package?
Yes, so they are still involved, and they are taking ownership and closing actually on the last of the 64 units. Unfortunately, because of this site not being prepared, they did not put this in their original financing of the Opportunity Zone. They had originally committed to these units, but because of the interest rate hikes that from the original purchase of the original 64 to now, they backed out on this site. So this, absent the transformational housing grant, we had basically kind of pulled the plug on doing these last units.
Okay, and then quickly, the Ardway site was also a recipient of a Division of Local Government Energy Impact Infrastructure grant. Is that the location of this particular proposal?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Next up is Mancos Commons, and Shirley Diaz is presenting the team.
Good afternoon. Joining us today for Mancos Commons is Tammy Graham. She is the board president.
Good afternoon. Thanks, Shirley. Thanks, everyone, for your time. First off, a big thank you to Shirley and Andrew for all their hard work in working with us on getting to this point in the process. The Mancos Commons is a mixed-use development in downtown Mancos to be located immediately adjacent to the existing Mancos Common Press building, which is the home of the former Mancos Times Tribune, the town's original newspaper, and is now an active letterpress shop and community gathering location. The town of Mancos is located in the southwestern corner of the state, just 7 miles from the entrance to Mesa Verde National Park. Very small community, ranching community with a population of about 1,400. The town itself is very supportive of this project. They've listed attainable workforce housing as the #1 priority for the town. So they've been working very closely with us on this project, been very supportive in many ways. Mancos is just about 30 minutes west of Durango, and in many ways has become a bedroom community to Durango. We're also located about 20 minutes east of Cortez, again, in the far southwestern corner of the state. This project is located in the heart of the Mancos Creative District. We are an enterprise zone approved project. This project will be the first new construction to take place on Grand Avenue, the block of downtown where the project site is, in over 100 years. And we're hoping it'll become a model for other developers to create mixed use projects in the heart of our small but growing downtown. To date, the lack of interest by the private sector to build affordable housing, coupled with the high cost of building materials, has made it quite difficult for housing to keep pace with jobs and population growth. So right now, nearly half of the renters in Mancos are cost burdened due to rising housing costs. And many residents, like many places in Colorado, struggle to pay for necessities, just basic living expenses. The entire county is designated an enterprise zone, enhanced enterprise zone. We are looking, this project is a combination of, it's a 2-story building with commercial space on the ground level and 3 single bedroom housing units on the 2nd floor. We're requesting that the project be underwritten at 60% area median income rent levels, but we're looking to restrict the income for tenants at 120% AMI. Our request is for $815,000. It would cover 100% of our gap funding needed for the project at this point. We have broad support from other state and private foundations in terms of our other fundraising from CHAFA, another grant from DOLA, CCI, El Pomar, Vetcher, Gates, and individual donors. Right now, we are construction ready. We've been working very closely with our general contractor on pre-development, and we are ready to move forward with construction to commence on June 2nd. And so we're excited to be at this stage in the game and look forward to moving forward with the blessing from the Division of Housing Board. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Tammy. One of the comments here in our packet is that you all are new to housing and that you've not managed rental housing. Are you going to have a consultant, or are you hiring any staff that has this experience?
Yeah, we actually are working closely with Willa Williford now. One of the grants we received from CHAFA was a TA grant, and we still have about 45 hours of time with Willa. So we've been working really closely with her and putting together a strategy for how to manage the housing portion of the project.
So you're doing self-management with a consultant?
Yes.
Okay. Is it difficult to find third-party managers that have this experience in town? that are
No,
local?
in town, not a lot of availability. Cortez and Durango both. There's plenty of options. So we've definitely reached out and definitely have access to folks in the neighboring communities that could work with us in terms of managing the housing portion.
Okay. Just on the deals that I work on, it typically if the borrower lacks experience in development of multifamily or rental housing, we wouldn't allow them to self-manage. So I see that as a concern here or a weakness. So I would just maybe put that back to the staff and have them just consider that for what it's worth. But I don't necessarily think it's feedback that needs to be coming from the Division of Housing. It would be more, if your lender is comfortable with that, your first mortgage lender, then they're really the ones who should push back on that. So
Great.
Just a comment.
Understood. Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Any questions from the board? Mr. Garcia?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Graham, hi, Rick Garcia, Executive Director of DOLA. Just quickly, you alluded to another grant from DOLA. Was that the 1271 IHO?
Yes.
Yeah, IHO award.
No, actually, we applied for it, didn't get the IHO, knowing that this, I'm trying to remember the DOLA. It was the first money in support of the project. It was for $50,000. It was for pre-development funds. I'm not remembering right now the name of the grant program.
It might have been Energy Impact. I'm not certain, but the project's ringing a bell. I remember that early.
IHOP.
Stage.
Thanks, Andrew. He just said it was IHOP planning grant.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you very much.
Shirley, did you have a question?
No, I was just going to answer that question.
Great. Thank you. Well, thank you for the presentation, Tammy.
Thank you.
Moving on to Prairie Run, and presenting is Wayne McCoy.
All right, Wayne McCoy here. So presenting for the town of Hayden is the town manager. This is for Prairie Run. This is Matthew Mendisco.
Good afternoon, everybody. Today, you have the possibility to fund an investment that's going to create a pathway for equitable access to housing in a community that probably has about 1/10 of the resources, but is still on the verge of transformational change. On the line with me is our mayor, Ryan Banks, and Kimball Crandall with Gorman and Company. Hayden is in the middle of an economic transition. We're desperately short of housing. Our housing needs assessment, which we completed last year, pointed to the fact that we had a 250 to 400 unit shortfall in the next 5 years. And as we're diversifying economically, our rental rate and our for sale rate during that time period was 0% and 2%. So we don't even have rentals around for people to move into, forgetting about the affordability, even though the prices of our homes have went up since 2020 by 75%. These units that we are proposing to build that you may have the opportunity to fund here will be a perpetual deed restriction. So not 30, 40, 50 years. The town's, it's already zoned. The utilities are already there to serve it. And the site's basically shovel ready. Our development partner, Gorman, probably has some of the best experience in terms of affordable housing in the state. And this is a public-private partnership, which is really, in Hayden, in rural areas, the only way that we can get these projects done. We can answer specific questions from the board on finance, but I think the bottom line is that your investment is going to create, for $8.6 million, creates $68 million of investment. As you can see in our grant application, other than the 8.6 million, those are all committed. And our AMI levels and our applications are a wide range of jobs, starting all the way from 60 and below up to 140. And this is a completely sustainable and renewable energy project, being all electric, we are striving to reduce energy bills even further through solar and et cetera. I would close just telling you that, with your approval on a shovel-ready project that is already, the land I think closed or should be this week. You can show everybody that these funds, when you talked about transformational change and the legislator approved this is the type of project they were looking for, which is exactly what Dylan Roberts said in his support letter for us. Be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Matthew. Any questions from the board? All right, great presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Last but not least, we have Carbonate Street, and presenting is Andrew Atley.
Thanks, Anthea. So presenting Carbonate Street, we've got Joseph Teipel from the town of Buena Vista, and we also have Scott Simmons from Fading West. So guys, take it away.
Andrew, thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone, for sticking with all these presentations of incredible projects around the state. We're honored to be here amongst them with a 60-unit fully deed restricted affordable housing project here in Buena Vista. This project is going to be taking place on town-owned land that's being contributed or donated to the project. It's only 3 blocks away from really the heart of Buena Vista, so very much an infill project. And what's really incredible and transformational about this project is not only will it bring these 60 units to town, we're going to be serving between 60 and 120% AMI. But really, these 60 units are going to be meeting 100% of the need identified in that AMI bracket from our 2022 housing needs assessment for the town of Buena Vista. So when we talk about transformation, we can, with one fell swoop, address the needs of an entire segment of our housing needs assessment. So it's incredibly exciting. The program is shovel ready. Thank you to DOLA as well for investing in this with grant funding from the incentives grant program. And the final thing I'll mention before I turn it over to Scott is that this project also includes early childhood education center or daycare core and shell building. This is a key investment, and as you all are well aware, when we talk about meeting the needs of our workforce, not only is housing crucial, but allowing them to have access to childcare is also crucial. And the town trustees have recognized that and are investing in that with this project. So I'll stop there. Happy to answer any questions, but I'll turn it over to Scott to talk a little bit about Fading West.
Great, thanks, Joseph. Fading West is thrilled to be part of this project. Like was said earlier, public-private partnerships are pretty vital in rural communities for achieving attainable communities and developments. We appreciate the town contributing the land, their physical assets, and then we can come in with our development, manufacturing, construction, property management skill sets as a developer. We understand, controlling cost right now is very important, especially when we're trying to hit the numbers and the attainability goals of this project. One way that Fading West is doing that is through our modular manufacturing that I'm sure you're familiar with. A lot of the construction costs are controlled through the factory, and they're predictable and they won't fluctuate significantly. We also have really strong relationships in this region because we've built several projects in Buena Vista, Poncha Springs, and other areas. We know the local subcontractors and we have experience. So we feel very confident that we'll be able to deliver a project on time and on budget. And we really can do that with subsidy. And we're very happy that we've received $1.65 million from the Innovative Housing Incentives Grant Program. We are conservatively assuming 65% on our financing for the construction loan. We will be pursuing the revolving loan program through the Transformational Housing Fund. And then the rest of the capital stack will be made up of private equity and subsidy. We are already in preliminary discussions with investors that are very excited for this project, including internal investors with Fading West. This project will be transformational in our community. With an award of the full amount, we will be able to secure long-term affordable housing for our workforce, as well as a childcare facility, which is desperately needed in our community as well. So we are so happy to be part of this, and we're happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott and Joseph. Any questions from the board? Well, flawless presentation then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
It's been a long meeting. I sense everyone's ready. Move on. So next up is the voting piece of this. We have 11 deals that are slated for votes. I'd like to set aside Harmony Cottages and Mancos Commons and take the remaining 9. Raleigh, Fruta, Muse, Chrisman Portfolio, Wapiti Commons, Willoughby Corner, CPCH Living Wisdom, Ordway East Duplex Development, Prairie Run, and Carbonate Street. Can I please ask one of the board members to put this forth for approval?
So moved. This is Ladon.
Thanks, Ladon.
Second, this is Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan. All those in favor signify by aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
James.
Any opposed? Wonderful, thank you. So the next 2 deals would be Harmony Cottages, which I set aside because I wanted to make sure that we discussed that one, but had requested that the staff revisit it, but also approve it as presented. Is that okay with you, Ryan? Is that in line with your intent there?
Absolutely, Anthea, and I would say out of all of the great presentations we received today, this was the only one that the staff did not recommend for full approval. And given some of the data points that the presentation raised, I would like to also at least get a clearer understanding as to why, from a screening criteria perspective, why this project was recommended relatively low for funding, 40% of what they're asking for, juxtaposed against the other projects we heard of and approved today that were all, for the most part, 100%. So
okay, yep, fair request. And Andrew?
Oops.
Sorry.
I was just going to jump in real quick on that, on Jay Ryan's question. So the Harmony Cottages project was the only habitat project that we received that requested a developer fee. We felt that we really needed to treat all of those habitat applications the same, and which is why we, reduced that award by $1 million, because that $1 million was just for that developer fee. So a little context.
Well, no, thank you, Andrew. With regard to the developer fee, I thought that was her name Miss Welk, or it was Kathleen. I forget her last name, but I believe the presenter said that the developer fees were not considered, that this was exclusive of the developer fees with what the funding request that she made, unless I either misinterpreted that or maybe she misspoke. But as I understand it, the developer fees are mutually exclusive from the request that she made for funding today.
Ladon?
I just wanted to point out that the other homeownership project also did not receive full funding. They requested 1.5, just over 1.5 million, and they received $1 million in funding. So it was the 2 homeownership projects that did not receive full funding.
Thanks, Ladon. Thanks.
Okay, thanks for that. Just given time here, guys, I apologize. Andrew and I have a meeting at 2:15 that we cannot miss, so I'm going to just ask, can we miss it?
We do have a little time.
Oh,
as
good.
the Senate is
Okay.
running late, so you don't have to hustle through.
Okay, great. I don't like hustling. Sounds good. So Harmony Cottages, moving forward with a vote, I think it makes sense to just have staff revisit it, given all the feedback that's been shared by the board, and also to approve it as presented so that you have that in hand and that we don't delay anything. And very similar concept here is Mancos Commons. I think Mancos Commons is great as presented. I have a concern about the lack of development experience and management experience and the self-management component here. I'm concerned about that and would like that to be visited as well. Again, I don't necessarily know if it's Division of Housing's position to take that stance, but I think it's important for all of us to make sure that these projects are successful. And a huge part of that success is tied to the management. And if it's simple enough for them to get a third-party management company, or at a minimum, a consultant that is on board for at least a full year and at least till they're fully stabilized, those are the points that I'd like the staff to consider there.
Make a motion, we approve the other two projects, Anthea.
Thank you, Candace.
Second, this is Ladon.
Thank you, Ladon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Wonderful. Well, we have approval then for all 11 projects. Thank you all for your wonderful presentations and patience, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Andrew just raised his hand.
Andrew?
Just, for the record, we will report back at our next meeting on the two projects that you'd like, additional consideration, context, or information.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
This
right,
is
thank you
Candace.
all.
I have a quick question on how many dollars are still remaining in the THG funds.
So with the approval of these, we are up to approximately $51 million awarded, which leaves approximately $86 million of additional awards to be announced. That spans approximately 50 applications still in consideration.
Real quick, phenomenal question there, Candace. And so just looking, and I'm kind of hovering over this Harmony Cottage proposal. So based upon, I think you said there's 86 million left. So if they were even funded to 100%, I mean, that's a drop in the bucket of what's left in the budget, what we're getting at specifically for the grants.
Yep.
Okay.
Understood. I think, Ryan, I'd love for staff to be able to take all of your comments and thoughts back and kind of put it all down on paper for discussion at the May 9th meeting.
That's fair. No, thank you. Well, hopefully, here's a dumb question. So before the May 9th meeting, we're not having another meeting. The May 9th meeting will serve as both. Is that correct?
Say that again.
So the upcoming May 9th meeting will serve both as the beginning of the monthly meeting as well as the rules meeting.
Correct. Yep. You're
Okay.
correct.
Okay. No,
It's a long afternoon.
So then part of that, the follow-up then is, so after the staff goes back and double taps things, there's a good possibility that they could come to the next meeting recommending increasing and improving the remaining 900K. Is that correct?
Certainly a possibility, and or other funding options that might be out there.
Sure. No, thank you. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Ladon?
If it isn't too much trouble at that meeting, could we see how much has been awarded for home ownership versus rentals?
Yep.
And which areas of the states?
Yep,
state have
I
been covered?
took that note when you asked so yes, I see exactly where you're going there, and we'll have kind of a state of the grant awards presentation for you.
Yeah, and geographic too.
Yep.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
State of the grant. I love it. You should coin that, Ladon, and get it 15 cents every time someone drops that.
I'll call my trademark attorney now.
That's right.
Well, and a reminder for all the board members, I believe May 9th we're in person, right?
Yep.
Yep.
That is correct.
So look forward to seeing some of you for the first time in person next time. All right. Thank you all.
Adjourned.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.